Oh, it's an awesome opportunity to be in such a place, in such an era, in such a month, in such a time. It just doesn't matter when you get to watch this. But welcome to Principles that Yield Results and Promises. And I know that as we go through these, some of the series that we have gone through, some of the talks, the chats that we have gone through, I know that some of you have gotten a lot empowered. I've gotten so many testimonies, and I just love the testimonies. I love the testimonies. I was actually reading one from this morning, and there's this particular lady. She asked me a question, and I remember when she asked me a question, I actually shot a full video about it. I made, a whole, content series about it. And after she watched, she was like, you know what? No one has ever understood me in my whole life. No one has ever understood me like you understood me. And the way you responded, it was precise. It was exactly what I need. I know that I have a lot of work to do, but at least finally my eyes are open that there can be a blueprint, a roadmap that I can follow to be everything that God created me to be. And I will tell you that we have the blueprint, we have the roadmap. The only thing is we are just not willing to do certain things in our lives. We're just not willing to get our hands dirty. We're just not willing to execute. We're just not willing to do. And this brings me to what we are going to talk about today, because so many people in this age and era, so many people in this season, okay, and some of you it's just a season, but some of you it has been quite a cycle. You have been stuck. Now, most of you have called me the queen of getting unstuck. Some of you have, as in I talk about getting unstuck so many times because I know that in this life we get stuck because of so many reasons, and there's so many reasons we are going to talk about. And there's so many types of people that actually get stuck, but we will just talk about two people. There are two people that get stuck, and they have made some progress. They have moved, they have built brands, they have built businesses, they have gotten married, they have made some money, they have a job, they have, as in they have given birth to children, as in you have made some progress in your life, but at some point in your life, all of a sudden, you just get stuck. And so many times, the people that fall in that category, this is what they say. Oh, I think I started growing and then I started plateauing. It just doesn't matter what kind of name you give it. For as long as you are not growing, you are stuck. We talked about the principles for growth that guarantee growth. We talked about challenging ourselves out of our comfort zones. We talked about challenging ourselves out of our costing zones. We've talked about all those things, but period, if you are not growing, you are stuck. You cannot tell me about plateauing. You cannot, as if, because to get out of the plateauing phase as well, it is getting unstuck. So it's the same energy, it's the same propelling, it's the same force, it's the same everything that you need to get out of a plateauing zone. That, oh, I grew and then all of a sudden I plateaued. Let me tell you, you do not plateau for so long. When you plateau and then you go down. So that means so many of us, this has been the trajectory of our lives and how we have lived for a very long time before I even go to type 2. We have lived our lives of, we get up, like we get a bit unstuck, okay? And we use the force, we propel ourselves, we challenge ourselves, we stretch ourselves, and then we get to what is more like a promised land of some sorts. We have created some promised lands in ourselves, and all of a sudden, yes, it's like you sustain it for a little bit, and then all of a sudden something happens and you fall down. And then all of a sudden, so now we are living lives of zigzag. You are down, you kick yourself up, you push yourself up, and then you sustain it for a little bit, and then something else happens. And then all of a sudden, you are down, and you try to kick yourself up again. And all of a sudden, you try to sustain it for a little bit, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, at most a month, and all of a sudden, and what exactly are we sustaining? Before we even talk about number 2, but let's just bring in number 2. That number 1 is the type of people that are already on the trajectory of growth. Okay, they've attained a certain status. They have gotten to they have held certain things. They have whatever it is, but they have moved a bit and now they are stuck. And I will tell you, there's a type 2 where most of us actually, we have never really thought about it, but I took time to think about it because I have dealt with so many people. I'm in this space of people developing, and let me tell you, you will meet all sorts of people. There are people that have never gotten unstuck. Like all their lives, they have been stuck. All their lives. They were born and they don't know what happened during childhood, but maybe something went wrong, or maybe something didn't go wrong, or what it's the environment they were born into, but something happened. And the stuckness of their lives started when they are young. They have never tasted joy. They have never tasted success. They have never tested breakthroughs. They have never tested, they have never, all their lives, all they know is struggle, all they know is survival, all they know is stuck. And now it has become normal for some people. It has become, it's until some people get a little bit of exposure and they're like, no, I don't think my life is supposed to be like this. I don't think forever I'm supposed to be like this. I think there is such a thing called having money. There is such a thing called success. There is such a thing living in joy. There is such, as in there is family. There is, there are all these things. So now that exposure, then they begin longing. It's like, have you ever tasted something? You test chocolate. I remember the first time I tasted ice cream. Yeah, it was a school tour. We went to a certain factory, and all of a sudden they gave me something. I didn't know it was called ice cream. No, I didn't know. So they gave me something, and it was in a tin, in a white tin, and with a scooping spoon, and I started eating, and it felt so good. It felt so good. In my life, I had never tasted anything as good as that. I had never tasted it before. So I tested for my first time. We have gone for a school tour. And of course, I come back home. I go back into my usual things. We eat G-nuts, like fried G-nuts for supper without tea. And sometimes we don't even have supper, or sometimes we don't even have lunch. We have to skip it. Sometimes we just have to take tea with, as in that is the kind of life, the poor kind of life, like total poverty. Total poverty is where I was coming from. And now I've been exposed to ice cream, definitely. Now, for me, it's not really a thing. I've eaten something that has melted in my mouth, and it feels heavenly. But I know I might never get it in my whole life. Let me tell you, it's until I actually, long after I had grown up, and I went to an ice cream place, or I bought ice cream. I don't remember whether it was from the supermarket or something. And I tested a scoop of the ice cream, and it reminded me of what I had taken while in primary. And I was like, this is it. All along it was ice cream. Don't laugh. That is how bad my life was. That is how bad my life was. And all growing up, the people that I witnessed were people that, as in whose lives were just stuck. Like there was a perpetual cycle of stuck people. Yeah? And I will tell you, there are people that have never gotten unstuck all their lives. They have perpetually lived lives of being stuck. They have never tasted freedom. They have never tasted money. They have never tasted, as in, and some of them, by the way, they feel like life is normal. Have you ever gone to, I think I've witnessed this so much, because sometimes how you travel out of town is when you're going for burial, or you're going for, I'm not saying for work and for something, but where you really witness the kinds of lifestyles, and you're like, is this real? Like, you look at someone, like, he's handsome, she's beautiful, as in, a lot could have happened in her life. But because of where she comes from, all she knows, I remember there's a time we went somewhere, I don't even remember which village it was. A very handsome boy, like young boy. He's barefoot. All he knows is looking for food. He was not even eating food that was coming fresh from the pots or from the saucepans, but he was looking from the plates where people had already eaten. As in, he was stuck, he was dirty, but when you look at him, You see a young man that could have had a lot going on for him, a lot going on for him. He could have been around 24, around 25. But he has never tested any other kind of life. The jerrycan he was carrying was yellow, but it had become brown, and his hair, his life was just, his feet were cracked up, as in that is all life has showed him. Now, we can say, oh, those ones, but let me tell you, even if it's not those ones, there are people that live in cities and they have lived in bondage all their lives. And if I'm talking to you, I know you understand, you know yourself. You're like, I have never known what it means to be happy. I've just never known. I look at other people, I admire them. I have been exposed to this life. I have seen what other people can live, but I have never lived that kind of life. What happened to me? What happened to me? So you see, most of the time, we live lives fluctuating. You're trying now. That is the second type. The first type of people, they live lives fluctuating. For the second type of people, the ones that have never tested anything, they're at the bottom, at the rock bottom, and they're not even lifting a finger because they don't know what to bounce back to. But the number one that have attained a certain kind of life, they know that. I mean, there's a life. Just bear with me as I try to explain this. You have ever lived a life that is enthusiastic, a life that is motivated, a life that is, you're looking forward to tomorrow. You're looking forward to the following day. As in, you live in anticipation. You live in, as in, there is that kind of life. And now when you get stuck, you want to bounce back to that enthusiasm. You want to bounce back to that happiness. You want to bounce back to that joy. You want to bounce back, as in, you know what it means to live a life that is on the move. You are alive. Yeah? You anticipate good. You're looking forward. You're putting in your energy. You work hard. You're making decisions. You know the kind of life that I'm talking about. But there's another kind of life that you have experienced lately, a life where you are demotivated, you are stuck. You're not doing anything, you're not moving, you're not dreaming, you're not thinking, you're distracted. Now that is the downward loop. And now we tend to fluctuate because when you go through the downward loop, then you long to get back up. And so you push yourself up. And when you push yourself up to the enthusiasm, to the happiness, to the joy, and to good health, to good family, because we push ourselves up to a good job, to all those things, to good money, we push ourselves up to some stuff. And so now we start fluctuating. You go down, then you go up, and then you come down again, and then you go up, and then you come down again, and then you go up. And it's like there is so much void in your life, so much void. And all you want is to fill that void. And then, because you want to fill the void, then every time you're going back. You're not even going back to a place that is better than where you were, but you're going back, you're landing in the same place all the time, the same place all the time. So now a time comes where you cannot differentiate between the stuck mode and the upward mode. It starts being entangled, yes? So now you don't know what the difference is. When you're motivated for just a short while, maybe a day, and then all of a sudden, you lose the enthusiasm, you lose the motivation, you lose the aliveness, you lose the vitality, you lose the strength, you lose the dreaming, you lose everything. And then you're like, no, this is so wrong. No, I can't live like this for the rest of my life. And then all of a sudden, maybe you read a book, or maybe you scroll on social media, and then when we are down here, so many things that distract us to actually keep us down here. So we don't stretch and challenge ourselves to actually bounce back or even get unstuck. So you see the challenge that so many of us are actually facing, the challenge that so many of us are actually facing. And sometimes we are not honest. We are not honest that we are struggling. And one of the things that I've been punching in and making sure that most of my mentees understand is you have to own your starting. You have to own your journey. You have to be very honest with yourself, because truth is the launch pad for growth. Truth is the launch pad for bouncing back. Truth is the launch pad for expansion. There is no way you can move an inch minus truth. You have to be able to admit that, yeah, this is where I am and it is this bad. This is where I am and I don't want to be there. This is where I am, but I know better. I know there's a better place that I need to be at. But before we even go to the better place, I want us to find out, why do we even get stuck in the first place? Why do we get stuck in the first place? Number one that I have looked at amongst the people that I have helped, amongst the people that have come to me, amongst the people that speaking engagements have gone to, the people that I have talked to, and believe me, they are many, millions of people. One thing that I've found to be so true, but in a subtle way we disregard it, is fatigue. Fatigue can be mental, fatigue can be spiritual, fatigue can even be, what would I say? Like, it is just passed down. I wouldn't want to call it in genes, passed down in genes, but I will tell you, some of it feels like we have been with it for a very long time. You don't remember a time where you were not fatigued. You just, like when you look at your life, you just don't remember a time where you were not fatigued. For some of us, we can trace our fatigue. Yeah, mentally, we can know that we've been with people because when you look at your life, I want you to look at the past 72 hours, yeah? 72 hours. Because sometimes even what we eat, the people that we commune with, the people that we talk to, the people that we collaborate with, as in there's so much that can bring fatigue. Watch the content that you are consuming. You are the gatekeeper to your life. As in, you've been given choices to say that you can mute your feed, someone in your feed, but you end up consuming everything, and you end up being distracted. But why do we easily give in to even the distraction? Is because we are so fatigued and we are looking for a way out. And sometimes doom scrolling seems to be one of the things that you feel like, you know what? I think by me being on my phone, I'm dealing with my stress. No, you're not dealing with your stress. You're adding issues and more problems to the already prevailing problem that you actually have, that you're actually fatigued. When you are fatigued, you cannot generate joy. When you are fatigued, you cannot generate enthusiasm. You cannot generate happiness. Because again, no one externally is going to give you the happiness that you're looking for. No one is going to give you the enthusiasm. No one, if you're waiting for someone, let me tell you, no one is coming. No one is coming. Not your husband, not your wife, not your children, not your fiancé, not your boyfriend. No one is going to come to give you the enthusiasm that you, because if it was like a magic wand, oh my God, we would have called on to people, not even your pastor. Yes, not even your pastor. We will talk about prayer. We will talk about prayer. We will talk about prayer. Just give me a few minutes. But no magic wand is going to be just, you know, someone just going to, whew, and all of a sudden you feel the joy. No, we actually generate these things from within. You generate motivation from within by getting stubborn and saying, you know what, I'm just going to skip the levels. I'm going to skip to, oh, I need to get back in the mood. I need to get back to, no, even when I'm not in the mood, I'm actually going to write that chapter. I'm actually going to do that particular thing. So you see how we get ourselves into the generating mode. So you generate the enthusiasm, you generate the confidence, yeah? You generate, and when you get confident, when you get consistent, then you get confident. And when you get confident, you get a lot more things done. But it begins with a self-generation inside of you. But what has killed that self-generation is the fatigue. Because when you are fatigued, you're not thinking straight. When you're fatigued, you don't want to know. When you're fatigued, as in everything looks gloomy. Everything looks like it's the end of the world, like it's the end of the road for you. People get fatigued and get depressed. And they don't want to even open curtains. You don't feel like moving an inch even in your house. You don't feel, and then you get into cycles of eating. Anything that you come across, you get into cycles of, because even when we cannot self-generate, we are looking externally at what could help us. And then we are now getting bandages because we are fatigued. So you get a bandage of, you get under under another man, or you get another woman, or you get, as in, you are trying to bandage the wound, you're trying to bandage the fatigue. So you're just covering, you're camouflaging, but you're not dealing with the actual thing. You're not dealing with the actual thing. So many of you are stuck, and if you can only admit, remember we said that truth is the launchpad for growth. Truth is the launchpad for acceleration. Truth is the launchpad for clarity. That if you lack wisdom, go to God, who gives out generously. So now you must admit that, by the way, I lack wisdom. I do lack wisdom. Now, even in this case, you must be able to admit and say, I don't just think, but I am fatigued. And this fatigue has been for a very long time. I have been fatigued ever since, I was in my primary, my secondary, I've just moved along. I've just been sedimenting more fatigue in my life. And then some of you, you lost it somewhere between senior 6 and campus. Some of you know that you lost it between campus and daily life and the normal life and the life after campus. Some of you, as in, you can trust, you can look at it and say, you know what, ever since I got married to so-and-so, that is when I got married to fatigue. Ever, as in, you can tell. You can tell. Some of us, it is more spiritual. Yeah? A spirit just came and took over. You were a joyous girl. You were a bubbly girl. You were a bubbly man. As in, you were so happy. And all of a sudden, something just came and took over your happiness. Something just came and you just don't feel any happy anymore. Even when you go to church. Some of you have even stopped going to church. Some of you, even when your pastor calls you, you look at the number and you're like, not today, pastor. No, not today. When someone that would have helped you actually calls you, for you it is a bother because you are fatigued. You don't have any response. You don't have any answer. You're like, you know what? I just don't want. That is why some people get to a place and say they got tired of people. And you're like, so you got tired of people. What exactly are you going to do on this earth? Because everything you're going to do on this earth, you're going to do it with people. You see what fatigue does? It takes away the collaboration. It takes away, it limits you. It just ties you in. It becomes like a prison. Yes, so many of us are incarcerated. Not in the actual prison, but in the prison of our mindsets. For as long as you are limited, for as long as you are, you cannot move, you cannot shift, you cannot change, you cannot transform, you are incarcerated. So now I know you understand what I'm saying, and you've already figured out where you actually fall. whether mentally, whether spiritually, whether it's genetics. Yes, it has been passed on. Some parents pass on fatigue, the legacy of fatigue. Every time someone is tired, but you saw your parents living a tired life, a fatigued life, and you thought that living a fatigued life is the way of life, and so you started living a fatigued life. Believe me, there's a way out. But before we even find a way out, I want us to find out, why are you stuck? Because there's a reason as to why you are stuck. All right? There's a reason as to why you're stuck. So the cycles that we talked about are the cycles of the cycles of getting unstuck, and the cycles of fading. Yes, the cycles. So you fade slowly. It starts like you're still hyped up, you're still enthusiastic, you're still alive, you're still chasing your goals, you're still chasing your dreams. But slowly by slowly, because of distraction, because of whatever it is that is happening in your life, because of the stress, because of the, I mean, so many things are happening, you end up down here. You don't even notice that you're coming down. Yeah, because apparently your life is moving on. You're still eating, you're still sleeping, you're still commuting to work, you're still talking to your parents, or you're talking to your siblings, or you're talking to your friends, as in there's a certain part of your life that seems like it's still going. So now you don't realize that you're going on a downward move, but you are fading. You are fading. Yeah, and so when you get to a place where, because we will talk about the getting unstuck, but the getting unstuck that we want to be able to look at is the sustainable kind of getting unstuck. So when you are fading, the number one is fatigue, is actually fading you down. All right, you know, like there are faders on consoles and you're fading down. Some of us are being fed down slowly. We cannot speak up. We cannot fight for ourselves. We cannot, because we are not realizing that we are actually going down. It's like a person that is losing money, especially in inflation and, you know, the change of economy and everything else. And for you, you think because you're still earning the same, you still think you are okay. But actually, you're fading. Yeah, you're getting down. And so you're getting more fatigued. Yeah. And for some of us, it's not even just the fatigue alone, like it's so many things that are happening in our lives. And at the same time, number two that I will talk about is aimlessness. You're just moving without a sense of direction. Now, this can be both a symptom and a cause, because when you start fading, then you start being aimless. You start a day with a to-do list and you do nothing about it. And that is why so many people on 100 days of becoming. And for those of you that are coming in for accelerated mentorship, you realize that I'm giving you 100 days of becoming as a bonus course. Why? Because you need the accountability and you need to be able to understand what is hindering you, so that you can be able to jump over those hurdles and work on those hurdles, so you can get to the place that you really want to get at. But now, when you start being aimless, that means you wake up and you don't feel like doing anything. You wake up, I saw, and I know so many people are like this, and so many people are normalizing it. You wake up, it was a lady, this particular video was a lady, and this lady was seated down, watching TV, munching on some sweets, and the husband came back home. And guess what? She was still in pajamas. She was, in the same spot where the husband left her. And so she had skipped a bit, and of course she poured the sweets and what. I know some of this content people make it, but you realize that in the comment section, they will always be saying, do we all be living the same life? You know, girl, I am the same. I'm the same as you. Yesterday, he went to work and found me exactly where I was seated when he was leaving, with my bowel of sweets and watching TV. And like, We are normalizing that. I know that yes, there are certain places where you hit the rock bottom and you're right there. And sometimes some of these ladies were saying, even if I have like a to-do list, a time just happens and all of a sudden you feel ashamed that someone went to work and came back and they found you in the same spot with the remote in your hands, eating your popcorn or eating your sweets still in PJs, and you are okay. And you are okay. What the devil is stealing from you is your level of consistency, your level of showing up, your level of, of wanting success so bad, your level of hatred of average life. So you see, as some are fatigued and aimless. You've added both of them. Yeah, very aimless. You wake up and you just don't know what you ought to do for the day, and then the day goes by, and then a week goes, a month goes, and then a year has gone, and then you look back, there's nothing you have achieved, nothing. In 100 days of becoming, actually, if you one of those people that are coming in, number one, you're getting a discount when you're coming in. If you're coming in this season, if you watch this video, you're coming in on discount. But number two, I'm giving you a full list of 100 days of different challenges that you can pick on and say, I am going to carry on these challenges because I want to stretch myself. I want to be a totally different person by the time 3 months elapse, by the time 4 months elapse. I want to have achieved this particular goal. So you see now, we're talking about aimlessness, busy but not building, doing too much without a clear direction. You're just there. You feel like, and then you're touching on this, and then you're touching on that, and then have you ever gone shopping, even just window shopping, and you walk around aimlessly? You don't know where you're going because you're not going to buy anything anyway. You're not going to any particular shop anyway, because if you had budget, you would have known that, okay, I just want to go to Sephora, I just want to go to Maybelline, I just want to go to Mark, you would know that I actually am getting into that shopping mall and I'm going straight to Mark, or I'm going to that shopping mall and I'm straight away going to Maybelline. I'm going to that mall. But because you have no target, you're moving around, yeah, just. And you're like, oh, let me go and see, and just keep seeing different things. You never know when I get budget. Now, some of us, that is how we're moving in our lives. That is how we're moving in our marriages. Yes. That is, as in, you don't remember the last time you were so full of direction and you were leading your family and you had a vision and you were at the forefront and you're sharing the vision and you knew exactly what you were going to do in this season of your life in order to get to the place that you want to get. You were alive, you were enthusiastic, you knew what you wanted and you were going for it. But now some of you just don't remember when, and both women and men, some women have been surviving for a very long time, but surviving at ground zero, or surviving at the rock bottom for a very long time. And now you long, because you've known what it means to live intentionally, now you long to go back to intentionality. But so many people are actually failing because of aimlessness. Aimlessness is the source of distraction. Aimlessness is going to give you so many detours. Aimlessness is going to give you, because you're not aiming for anything. If you're a business person, if you set the precedence and say that, you know what, I want to be able to work on this cloth and this cloth and this cloth, and by the end of today I should finish these kinds of projects. Yeah, it's possible that you will tell yourself that, oh, the spirit is willing but the body is weak. So you wake up and you take tea, and by the time you're done with tea, it's around midday, and then you wait for food, and then a day goes just like that. You've made a few scrolls on social media, you've seen what the world is up to, and then like life is just wandering. Now, that is a place that fades us more into the stuck mode. Remember, we talked about fatigue, and now we are talking about aimlessness. your life must have a sense of aim. You must have a sense of focus, that this is what I want to attain. This is what I want to achieve. It might not be too big, and it doesn't have to be too big. But if you say that spiritually, this is what I'm aiming at. Physically, this is what I'm aiming at. Money-wise, this is what I'm aiming at. Family-wise, this is what I'm aiming at. Marriage-wise, this is what I'm aiming at. So that you do not live just a wandering life and an aimless life, because an aimless life is a life that has no results, is a life that is so pathetic, is a life that no one should be able to live. No, we deserve better, and we can give ourselves better. And then so many of us, the reason as to why we are actually so stuck is because we are discouraged. We are discouraged. After repeated failures and betrayals, the heart just grows weary. You're like, you know what? I've done this before and it just didn't work out. Some of us are weary out of, the relationships. Some of us are weary because of, job. Some of us are weary, as in we are discouraged. Because we said all of a sudden you find yourself down. But it's not all of a sudden. No, we fed too down. So now these are the things that are causing the fatigue, the aimlessness, and now the discouragement. That all of a sudden you thought it would work, and all of a sudden someone said some otherwise. All of a sudden you thought it would work, and let me tell you, it's so discouraging. Has someone ever discouraged you? I think someone recently, we actually felt the sting of discouragement. Of course, it was a small thing, but for us, we had taken time to actually look at, all the scenarios, and we decided that, for the outside kitchen, we're actually going to get an infrared stove. And so we get the infrared plates, yeah, and we are happy. We are like, even for the outside kitchen, we're going to make sure that we phase away, all the charcoal and everything to do with cooking dogs' food and everything else. We want to be able to use an infrared plate, so we bought the infrared plates. And then all of a sudden we get to invite or to call our electrician, and he tells us, these infrared plates, all they do is fry eggs, like they can't cook anything. They really can't cook anything. And now, the sunken feeling I was feeling in my heart, I was like, oh God, we've spent this money. And of course, my husband was already saying, but do you know what? I think you can call those people back. We can give it to them, and maybe we can get something from their store. Again, maybe we can take pressure cookers, or we can take induction saucepans, or as in we can get something out of their stores. But I was like, oh God, no. But again, I remember my husband looking at him and saying, you know what, I don't think that is actually, no. Have you ever used them? He's like, no, I've never used them, but I have had. And so it's like, yeah, those things that you hear from people and what. So it's like, you connect it. We are going to use it for cooking, and it's going to do a good job. And if it doesn't do a good job, we will find another. But just the discouragement, when you go home and you're like, all of a sudden now, done with, we're phasing away completely all the charcoal, and all we want to do is just have a station where we can do all the outside cooking and all the dog's food and everything else. And all of a sudden someone is telling you it's not going to work, it's used for frying eggs. And because I had not read too much into it and done a lot of research about it, I was beginning to even think that it is actually true, until I was like, you know what, let's just give it a try. And all of a sudden it's even working a lot more better than the cooker, the normal, cookers that we use. So you realize that so many of us, what happens, the discouragement, it finds you on a movement, and all of a sudden something happens. Yeah. You feel discouraged, a failure. Yeah. You buy something, it does not work, or you invest money and it's all swallowed up, never to come back, or you start a business and it collapses, or you start a relationship and the relationship is no more, or whatever it is, but you just that sunken feel of, I don't think I will ever do this again. We get discouraged as humans. So the reason, and I want you to be very honest with yourself. Remember, we say truth is the launch pad for growth. Now, the moment you are very truthful with yourself and say, actually, what I'm dealing with is fatigue. What I'm dealing with is, I am fatigued even mentally. I'm fatigued spiritually. I'm fatigued physically. I am just fatigued. And if you can be able to admit as well and say, I've been aimless in life. Like, I have no sense of direction. What I'm going to do? What next? If you can be very honest with yourself and say, I got discouraged and I never came back. I never bounced back up. I never stretched myself again. I never tried again. I never gave it another chance. I never even gave it another thought. The reason as to why we are stuck is not because of failure, because failure is going to happen whether we want it or not. It's going to, we are going to fail at so many things. But when you fail at it, the attitude that you have, if the attitude is, I can do it better next time, or now I know what not to do, so I can do different next time. Yeah, that is a good mindset that says, I am actually good. The truth here is I failed. Yeah, but the truth is I might try to do it again and win and jubilate. So I'm going to give it another go. I'm going to give it another try. That is the power of positivity. The power of positivity. And then some of us are dealing with ego. Some of us are dealing with ego. Yeah, with ego. And let me tell you, ego is a separator. Like, it separates us from the crucial things in life. Ego will separate you from every kind of collaboration. Ego will separate you from any kind of progress. Ego will separate you from any kind of help. Ego will, it will separate you with money. It will separate you with growth. It will separate you with counsel. It will separate you with, it will separate you because you want to be up here, so everyone is down here. So that means you're going to live a lonely life up here where no one even talks to you about anything. And so many people have gotten stuck and have remained stuck because of their ego. They're like, you know what? I don't want to look like I'm trying. I don't want to look like I'm starting again. I don't want to look like I'm starting afresh. I don't want to look like. Guys, we have one life. You might as well do everything that you want to do. Try again if you must. Stumble and fall if you must. Give up if you must. Get discouraged if you must. But my friend, stretch yourself. Stretch yourself again. Stretch yourself again. Now, the ego cannot allow you to stretch yourself, because then you will look left, right, and center, and you'll be like, other people are going to see me. Are they the ones that are going to be hungry if they don't have money? Are they the ones that are not going to have a shelter over their heads if they don't have money? Are they the ones that are going to have children that are stuck at home and yet they are supposed to be at school because they lack school fees? Are you the one that is going to be, are they the ones that are going to be on a sick bed without money and figuring out how to pay the bills? Are they the ones? So if they're not the ones, can you mind your own business? Can you stay in your lane? Can you deal away with the ego and say, you know what, I think my life deserves better, so I'm not going to cocoon it because of ego. I'm not going to limit it because of ego. I'm not going to separate it from everyone that would have helped because of ego. No, I'm actually going to open myself up to receive the help that I can get, to receive the advice, to receive direction, because I need it. You cannot tell me that you actually don't need it. You need it so badly. You need it. But now you look at the fed that I've talked about, the fatigue, and then the aimlessness, and then the discouragement, and now the ego, the pride that refuses help, it refuses counsel, it refuses correction, it refuses progress, it refuses everything that would have turned out good. And then you wonder, why am I stuck? There's nothing that is making you stuck. It is your ego. Your ego, your ego is too big, and then it wants to be flamed all the time. That is why the people around you are all the people that have no money, are all the people that are not wise enough to even jump out of this bandwagon. They are, you just want to keep losers around you because they will make you feel good, because then you'll be the one dominating. That is ego. Wisdom is the kind that knows that, okay, I lack wisdom in this, and so has wisdom. Just, I think the Luganda saying says it so well. It says it so well. That amagezi muliro bwega kubula ogenda ke wa mulirwana. But a person with ego is a person that will say, no, I would rather do without fire. I would rather do without wisdom. I would rather do without counsel. I would rather do without correction. I don't want, I am big, I am enough. I mean, I'm better than all of you, not even enough. I'm better than all of you. How dare you start counseling me? How dare you start giving me advice? How dare you? And then, you know, you end up dying, or you end up losing. You end up getting stuck for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life. Because of just one thing, ego. So if there are things that you need to deal with, you need to be able to go back to the drawing board and find out what kind of fatigue is holding me back. What kind of fatigue is holding me back? Where am I aimless in life? What kind of discouragement did I bump into and all of a sudden gave up on life? As it is my ego really standing in the way of everything that I actually need to do? Is the ego helpful or it's not helpful? If it's not helpful, I'm going to put it down. I'm going to ask for the help that I need. I'm going to ask for the counsel that I need, for the correction that I need, for the guidance that I need, for the support that I need. I am going to take it all in, so that, because I know I have a bigger picture. I want to be that best version. I want to be the version that God created me to be. I want that version. The one that leaves inheritance for his children's children. Yes. The one that is blessed beyond measure. The one whose blessings are pressed down and shaken together and overflowing. That one can never have ego inside of them. And sometimes God takes us through so many things so that he can teach us. Yeah? So that he can teach us to not only kill the ego, but to also live lives according to his will. And according to his will, which is the third way, not just the world's way, not just the church way, because that has also become quite toxic, but the Jesus way that says, I came that you will have life and will have it in abundance. And when you look at abundance, there is no fatigue in abundance. There is no aimlessness in abundance. There is no discouragement in abundance. There is no ego in abundance. That means your minds are focused onto what you ought to do. All right? So many people, and so many people help us, because as I speak to so many people that are out there that are also trying to coach public speaking, that are trying leadership, there's so many niches, name it, that are doing so many things. But so many times we just don't know how to break out of the cycles, especially if we are the kinds that have been fluctuating. Yeah, for those that have been stuck from birth, we will talk about you. But for those of you that have been fluctuating, yeah, you really need to understand that you need to have anchors in place. You need to have anchors in place. Now, what I'm sharing are things that I have gone through personally and things that I have been able to overcome. And one of them that really helped me to actually overcome was prayer. I don't take prayer lightly. I don't take prayer lightly. I take it so seriously, like my life depends on it. My life depends on it. And sometimes, yesterday I was actually talking to my husband, and I was telling him that, you know what, I think we have been programmed to think that prayer is about shouting, prayer is about making noise, prayer is about kicking and being loud, prayer is about... No, it is not. Do you know that you can sit in the presence of God and just worship and just, you know, and just be carried away in the presence of God? Okay, so I need you to differentiate between the myths of this world and what is happening, but again, also choose what feels right for you. Okay, choose what feels right for you. And now, when we talk about how to overcome some of these things, and that is where I want to flip. I was looking at this lame man that was begging for money at the beautiful gate, and Peter and John came by, and so they had to tell him that silver and gold we don't have, but we will give you what we have. In the name of Jesus, get up and walk. And so many people were so amazed at what was. And sometimes the things of the Bible and the writings of the Bible should be able to provide analogy or to provide an example of what it is, even in the spiritual realm, because the Bible goes ahead to show us that he had never walked all his life. Like, he just got down. I mean, from the time he was born with that without he was born lame. And so I asked myself, why does the Bible actually give us this kind of detail? Why does the Bible give us this kind of detail? Because prayer, okay, the power of prayer is not subject to the length of the trial. And I want you to take this seriously. It doesn't matter how long you have been fatigued. It doesn't matter how long you've been aimless, how long you've been discouraged, how long your ego has been up there. The power of prayer is not subject to the longevity or the length of your trial. Actually, the longevity or the length of your trial is dependent. It is subject. Yeah, it is subject to your prayer life, to the power of prayer. So you see, he had never walked ever since he was born. And here he's asking for coins. And they're telling him, we don't have silver and gold, but what we have we will give to you. And they prayed for him in the name of Jesus. I know I'm flipping the coin, especially for some of you that have gone through some of these seasons and cycles of stuck. One thing that has helped me so much is prayer. Going to God in prayer and being very honest with him and telling him that this is where I am. This is where I am. This is who I am. In this moment, this is who I am. And so what you need to understand is they were asking for the wrong things. They were asking for things that perish. When we go to God in prayer, we don't ask for things that perish. We ask for our heart's desires, what we want to happen in our lives. So now you understand that you must be able to understand that you're carrying burdens for others. If you're a business person, if you're a people helper, if you're a coach, if you're anyone that is taking care of others, if you're a leader in an organization, you are actually carrying burdens for others, and you're constantly lifting, them, helping them. There's so many of us that are fatigued because of that. Before we even jump into the depth of prayer, there are so many of us, I've just thought about it, that there's so many reasons as to why specifically people that have more help, more potential, more responsibilities actually end up fatigued, discouraged, and with all those things that we have actually talked about. So number one is the burden of carrying others, okay? And sometimes it's the identity confusion, defining self-worth by how much they do for others. You end up being people's pleasers because you have to please them. You have to please so-and-so and please so-and-so. And so you are over, not even functioning, but performing so that you can be accepted. And sometimes it's the cycles of rescue. You feel the need to rescue everyone. Imagine, I've been through that until I decided and I understood that I cannot rescue everyone. I cannot rescue everyone. And so I didn't allow it to hold me back. No. I was like, you know what? I will actually move. So the cycles of rescuing others, always solving something, but never even providing the structures, never doing the things that concern you, but you are always rescuing others. And then for so many people, they are facing, or you are facing, hidden loneliness, okay? You are surrounded by people, but you are generally starved of genuine support. You don't have genuine support, but you're surrounded by so many people. Have you seen politicians on rallies, on different places, as in they have, everyone wants to rub a shoulder. Everyone wants to rub a shoulder. But most of those politicians end up lonely. They feel so lonely, okay? And sometimes because of that, the fading starts. and going down as fast as possible. All right? So prayer should be number one. It shouldn't be the last. It shouldn't be in the middle. It should be first and foremost, because prayer unlocks what human help cannot. Prayer unlocks what human help cannot. Because when you go to just a coach, yes, they might, give you the roadmap. They might give you the blueprint. But I will tell you that you still have excuses. You will not execute it. You will not follow through. You will not. So now if prayer unlocks what humans cannot, yeah? And if you have the divine power that comes from prayer and consistent prayer, you see that there's so much that you can overcome. So much that you can overcome. And then some of us ought to look beyond temporary relief. Some of us, we just want the temporary relief. So this is what happens. We get the temporary relief from junk foods. We get the temporary relief from some people, yes, I actually mentioned it. People go for quick sex, yeah. You jump into another person's life. You jump under another man, yeah. You're looking for quick relief. You're not looking for the permanent relief, or you're not looking for the longevity of the kind of peace and the kind of aliveness and enthusiasm, and to just bounce back from whatever stress it is. So just like the man at the gate wanted coins, but they gave him better help, yeah. Those were just crumbs. He would have eaten and he would have been back there the following day. But when they told him, we don't have money and coin and silver and gold, but what we have is what we give you in the name of Jesus. Wake up and walk. And then he woke up and walked. And so he's able to go about his day and plan his day. All right. And then let's just shift the posture, and then let's just restore us. I think there's something that I do in my life where I just worship, I just praise. When I'm faced with those moments, the low moments where there's low motivation and everything else, and I'm like, you know what? Just like David talked to his soul and say that my soul, as in praise the Lord, as thank the Lord, be grateful to God, as in he had to remind himself. So most of the times I remind myself through praise, through worship. I remind myself that, oh my soul, you know how God has been good to you, and you know that we've been at this place of aliveness and enthusiasm and chasing our dreams, and we ought to get back up there. And let me tell you, before you know it, I'm actually back up there. I'm energetic. I'm chasing after my dreams. I'm clocking in the businesses. I am locking in the deals, and I'm doing what I need to do in the moments where I need to do it. So I know you're fatigued. I know that you've gone through the fluctuations. I know you're tired, but I will tell you, pray. Remind yourself. Okay? Remind yourself, and then don't go for temporary covers or temporary relief. Don't go for that. All right? I know that it's hard, but it's doable. And I love you, and I pray that the grace of the Lord covers you and sustains you and keeps you in good health, enthusiastic and chasing after your dreams. In the name of Jesus.